Thanks for staying with us. So we're still on this issue, but we have breaking news that bandits strike in Kaduna school, abduct students. We don't know the numbers yet, but that's what's breaking right now. We'll come to that story as soon as we have more reports. I'm told that Zachary is waiting on the line. Good morning, sir. Are you there? Oh, we lost that call. Mariam, let me let you have a final.
Yes, I was just going to go on the reports I read last week, and UNICEF was saying things about the insecurity and how it's affecting education, and how we have so many out-of-school children, not only because of the insecurity. And they're saying that the shutting down of schools is not the answer, but that the Nigerian system the federal government has to find ways to fortify schools, make sure that there's more security presence, there's improved security around schools. And so that's where I was going to go with this conversation, that we make sure that not just this particular Kaduna school, but all schools across Nigeria are properly secured.
So we're going to wrap up on this because, I mean, it's really, I have the name of the school now. Just now, I'm told that it's some armed bandits on Monday today attacked Bethel Secondary School.
Oh, God.
Mara in Chikun local government area of Kaduna State. We don't have the number of students yet, but obviously this is Bethel Secondary School. And we really hope that the government of Kaduna State can do something to ensure that these bandits are caught and the children are returned to their family. Now, let's move on to our next segment, which is talking about this. We have a I'm told Emmanuel is... Okay.
We lost him.
So we have a spokesman for Arewa Consultative Forum, Mr. Emmanuel Yawe. He'll be speaking to us on various matters of national exigencies at this critical time in our nation's history. Welcome with us, Mr. Emmanuel Yawe. Are you there, sir?
Yeah, I'm here. It's a pleasure to talk to you.
Good to have you on the show. So we are quite worried about the Arewa perspective to a lot of issues, prevalent issues on security, governance, now restructuring. That's a conversation across the country. It's even painful now. We just heard that some students in Kaduna State have been kidnapped. In your view, I'd like to start with your own general perspective concerning the issue of insecurity. Do you feel the government is doing enough? And do you think that these calls for secession, self-determination, is it the right thing at this time? Because we've seen the arrest of Nnamdi Kanu and the invasion, raiding of Igboho's house. In your view, how best can the government begin to address these issues specifically at this time? Did you get that, sir?
Yeah, I got only my view on the security situation.
Yes.
The others, I didn't quite get it.
Okay, so in summary, I wanted to hear your thoughts on the secessionist moves and self-determination moves by various regions. Now even the Jaws are saying they also want to secede. So what are your thoughts? What's the government doing, and are they doing enough to stop all these various secessionist agitations across the country?
Well, at least Arewa has not said they are going to secede, so we can clear ourselves on that. We believe in Nigeria, and we believe that Nigeria can be better managed than the way it is now. But we don't believe secession is the answer to solve our problems. It may even complicate the problems. And the way Nigeria is integrated now, it's not a question of going to sit on a conference table and say, you go this way, you go this way. It will not happen like that. It will happen the way it happened in the 60s. And anybody who was part of that war or who was alive during that war will not pray for something like that to happen in Nigeria again. So we don't want secession.
Okay, so if you say you don't want secession, Mr. Yawe, let me be clear that I understand. If you say you don't want secession and you like the way Nigeria is, do you feel all the regions are equitably, their needs are equitably met with the current situation we are right now? Or do you agree that we need to renegotiate this marriage called Nigeria?
I agree with you. And in fact, you didn't quite get my statement wholly. I said we believe that Nigeria can be better managed That is, we are not happy with the way it is being managed now. We are not happy with the way it is being managed now. But you see, people come up with a lot of suggestions that in the end don't make sense. Sometimes people talk about restructuring, and the same people who talk about restructuring are very loud in talking about secession. So that is why we took a position in Arewa Consultative Forum that inasmuch as we believe in federalism, because that is what our forefathers recommended before we got independence. We believe in federalism. That's the best system that Nigeria will run for itself. But the problem is the same people who are talking about restructuring are the same people who are talking about secession. So how do you restructure a country that does not exist? Mm-hmm. Is that the kind of restructuring they want? That is why we took a decision that, look, before we discuss, we take our position on restructuring.
Right.
We must all agree that we believe in Nigeria.
Okay.
Let Nigeria be one, and then let us restructure it. But if you don't have a country, what are you going to restructure?
Okay, point taken.
That is our problem.
Right, Mary.
Okay, sir. When it comes to Arewa and many of the issues that come from there, many people feel that they do not hear the voices of the leaders in that area. Now we're talking about insecurity. Look at, sadly, another group of students have been kidnapped in Kaduna State. Recently, the Board of Trustees chairman, has put the blame of insecurity at the doorstep of the governors, or the northern governors, and saying that they are not doing enough. Please, are you of the same sentiment? And if you are, could you articulate it for Nigerians to understand that the leaders in the north are aware of the issues that are happening in the north and are asking for a better way to handle this? Because, it's always people in the north don't even speak up. They don't even know what is happening. They don't have the same energy that they are chasing after other things as the ones that is right at their doorstep. What is the real issue? Why are we not handling this properly?
Hello, sir. Did you get that?
Yes.
Please go ahead.
I'm surprised somebody will say we are not speaking out in the north. You can accuse any other person, but you cannot accuse Arewa Consultative Forum of not talking out against insecurity in the north. We have always spoken out. In fact, the most serious communique we issued was in October last year, when this insecurity thing was getting too much. We issued a very strong statement. And, we said, look, this country is going into fire because of insecurity, especially in the north. The way we operate is that once we hold an Arewa consultative meeting, we have people from all the local governments in the north, all the states in the north, and we ask them, what is happening in your local government? What is happening in your state? And all of them, almost all states, come to us with complaints of insecurity, except a few states. So we're worried. We have complaints. We have issued statements. But we are not government. We don't have army. We don't have police. We can only complain. We can only shout. What do people expect us to do? Just last week, the Board of Trustees of Arewa Consultative Forum met in Kaduna. I was there. And Ambassador Sheik Gumi complained bitterly against the governors of the north. When somebody of that pedigree, somebody of that background comes out, and it was carried in all the newspapers, almost all the major newspapers, complains bitterly against governors of the north, not President Buhari. He said governors of the north are not doing enough to help the north and to help the country because of this insecurity. So when somebody comes here and says, we don't complain, we complain.
Okay.
Maybe we don't go about abusing our leaders the way other people do, but we complain.
All right, let me get a few more questions in for you. I have a lot of questions for you. Go ahead.
Yeah, so, I wanted to take you up on what you said earlier, that the same voices that are clamoring for restructuring are the ones clamoring for secession. And I beg to disagree, because I know that the secessionist groups came as a result of the failures of governments to protect their people. And the voices of restructuring is actually higher than the voice of secession. We can pick those people who are clamoring for secession. But I want to ask you, if you were in the position of the presidency, with all the clamorings and all the agitations, what do you think is the right step to take right now? What should the president do? Hello, sir.
Hello?
Yes, go ahead, please. Did you get that question?
Okay, I got it. You see, before we became independent, the British, even though they were colonial masters, they came here and took everything and made us virtually slaves. Once they wanted to hand over power, there was a process they followed. They went from ward to local governments and all that. Before all these constitutional conferences, which Awolowo, Tafawa Balewa, Joseph Taka, and all the others attended, both in Nigeria and abroad. And they came to the conclusion that about 99.something% of Nigerians wanted federalism. So if I were president, I will adopt the same policy. I will adopt the same process. Let's go through the Nigerian hierarchy and know what Nigerians want. Is it that they want a breakup? Do they still want federalism the way they want it? That is why we are still sticking to this referendum. We want a referendum. Do people even believe in Nigeria at all? Some people don't believe. Some of the statements you hear are frightening. Do these people know what it means to break up at all when they are making this advocacy? Do they know the implications of what they say? Yeah, the statements are really frightening.
Okay, sir.
If I were the president, I'll call for a referendum.
Okay.
Let's all agree that we believe in Nigeria. Then we'll agree that let's restructure Nigeria. The truth is that every Nigerian before independence voted for federalism, but the military came and started killing people, brutally, killing our leaders, killed the prime minister, threw his body in the bush, went to Kaduna, Sadona was sleeping with his wife in his bedroom, they shot him there and killed him. They did not only kill individuals, they killed federalism too. Then Irosi came up with a decree turning the country from a federal republic to a unitary state. That is when we destroyed federalism in Nigeria. So you cannot, in all honesty, sit.
So let me be clear, I got you, Mr. Yawe. What you're saying is that every group says, listen, we believe in one Nigeria first. When that is unified across the country, then we can begin to discuss restructuring. I wanted to be sure that's what you said. But let's talk about jumping here.
Okay, so what she is saying, which is what Mariah just reiterated, is what every Nigerian is clamoring for, because it's obvious that it's not working. Something is not working. Many things are not working. Even someone blind can see it, that is not working. And they've asked that we should channel our requests through the National Assembly, that everybody has access, we all have representatives towards our area. But when we heard the president's speech, and I've heard the response from some of our leaders, it's as if they see our request as an attack against them, and they're not listening to us. How do you believe Nigerians can best approach the needs that we have? We want true federalism. We want security. We want a better economy. We want safety within our environment. But we don't want our statement to be twisted into, they want to take me away from power. We don't want it to be quoted to be that they want to secede.
Unseat the president.
Yeah, we don't want to unseat the president. These are our requests. How can we best put it, and how can we come together as one? What's the best forum you would advise we use?
I'm sorry, your question was not clear.
Oh, wow.
I didn't get your question.
I was just asking that what's the best forum for Nigerians to come together to achieve security, true federalism, better economy? What's the best way for us to say it? How do you believe the Arewa can work with those in the southeast, southwest, and all of us? Because we, at the core, our needs are the same.
Well, to clear your mind, Arewa has always believed in consultation, in dialogue. In fact, just about a week and a half ago, we called on Afenifere, we called on Ohanaze Ndigbo, we called on Pandemic or whatever they call themselves, Pandic something, the Niger Delta people. We called on them. We are still working out the modalities of that meeting. And we're excited with the response of all sections of the country. They have all agreed to come to a round table and let's discuss the way we can move our country forward. Because the way it was going, it was very dangerous. And we hope that after the discussions, the tensions will go down. It's not for the good of anybody that this country should break up.
Right.
And we have fought a war to keep this country together before. It's not out of fear that we are saying, let's remain one. We have fought and won.
Okay.
And the man who fought and won that war, even though he said there was no victor, no vanquished, he was the one who started Arewa Consultative Forum, General Yakubu Gowon. It was his idea. When democracy came back in 1999 and everything was going haywire, he said, no, this is not the country I fought to keep it one. So he set up the motion, which has resulted into Arewa Consultative Forum today. Today, he is the chairman of Board of Patrons of Arewa Consultative Forum.
Right.
And we cannot be working for him, the man who fought to keep Nigeria one, and start shouting that we want to break Nigeria. That's why when everybody is shouting, we keep our heads cool.
Okay, let me get with you.
One more, just to keep on this topic of, secession, restructuring. Many people have accused the North of having the most advantage from the way Nigeria is being structured today. And that is why Arewa may not necessarily be part of the conversation that is happening concerning restructuring or secessions or calling for self-determination. But, as someone who, as a Nigerian who has seen, like in the North, the poverty, the illiteracy, the number of out-of-school children, and all that's happening in the North, the way that Nigeria is structured now and the way it's being managed today, does it really and honestly show that the North has any form of advantage from the way it is structured today?
Hello, sir. Are you there?
No, I don't see what advantage the North has. The way Nigeria is structured, there's no advantage. If you are talking of advantage, maybe you talk of the mass land we have, which is very fertile land. But in terms of economy, the whole of the North has no one single bank. The North does not own one single bank. The Bank of the North we used to have has been taken and sold to people who are not Northerners during the bank rationalization and all that. Education, we are far below. In every aspect of life, the North is trailing behind. So I don't see why people say North has taken advantage, except we have the population and we have land, which is very fertile.
Okay. Now let me throw this. Let me hear your view on this. People have accused the government of using kids' glove to handle certain issues like surrounding Sheik Gumi's utterances, Pantami with NIN, and they are using the sledgehammer for the Southeast Nnamdi Kanu and Southwest Sunday Igboho. And they said even Governor El-Rufai was saying that we shouldn't compare Boko Haram and the secessionist agitators in the Southeast and all. In your view, do you think the government should call Sheik Gumi and other northern leaders who have come out seemingly to speak in favor of the bandits and kidnappers. They should be arrested. Do you agree they should be arrested, or they should be left alone as we see today?
No, there's no way I would say they should be left alone, because we have issued statements cautioning Gumi on some of the statements he has issued. We don't believe in everything he says. Some of the things he says are okay, but some of the things he says are quite frightening and dangerous. When he spoke about religion in the military, that it's Christians who killed Boko Haram, we were outraged in the ACF, and we condemned him completely. Because when you start dividing the army on religious lines, then you have destroyed that army and you have destroyed that country. Because when the people who carry arms start shooting themselves, you are a Christian, you are a Muslim, or I will kill you, the country is gone completely. So we don't always agree with Gumi, and we have cautioned him. We want the government also to caution.
All right, sir. So I wanted to ask you concerning the last, before you just answered this question about the way Nigeria is not skewed or tilted to, favor some persons against the others. And you said not really, but we've seen that, especially when it comes to appointment of certain positions, that the federal character principle is not really adhered to. Rule of law is not really adhered to when it comes to the North against the South and all of that. And I also wanted to ask you, the responsibility of developing a region, isn't that why you have leaders in the first place? Because if the Southerners are complaining that some certain positions, especially even in the all companies, all sector and all of that, have been given to the North, isn't that supposed to be used for the development of their nation? Are we supposed to develop, are they supposed to have other people develop that place for them?
No, you see, the problem is that Nigerians make the mistake of thinking that if the president comes from the North, he is supposed to use the resources of the country to develop the North. Or if he comes from the South, he's supposed to use the resources of the country to develop the South. Let me give you an example. I went to Otuaki, President Goodluck Jonathan's village, and I was told that that was his village. And we were in a bus, a group of journalists traveling in a bus, and everybody said he's a fool because he didn't do anything there. Maybe he took a university there, that's all. But the road to that place was bad, at least as at the time we went there. Or you go to Katsina. Is it that Buhari has taken everything to Katsina? No. Or the North. How has the North improved? You see, that is why we are saying the states have a critical role to play, not necessarily the president. I was asked by somebody, which of the states in the North do I think are on the right track? Well, of course, I mentioned Zulum, the governor in Borno. If you go to Borno and you know what Boko Haram has done to that state, and you know the steps he's taken, the projects he has executed in that state, and they are visible, you can see them. He's done very well. Despite all the war that Boko Haram is waging for almost 10 years. And if you go to Kogitu, you see effort by a governor who wants to bring development to these people. So we should stop this question of everybody eyeing the presidency. We should stop it.
Right.
That you are a president doesn't mean you have all the powers. And when a president appoints people, when this problem started, and my friends from the South were saying, Buhari, everybody, not everybody, every person, and not. I said, well, he's doing a favor to some individuals, not to the North. Because
all right, let me go
he has appointed a Northerner, doesn't bring development to that place.
Right. Let me go on a quick break. When we come back, we'll continue this conversation. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. We still have our guest, Emmanuel Yawe, with us. So going into the issue of how we can get Nigeria. Good. I'm happy they are still with us. I'd like us to move into, as we progress into 2023, general elections. Nigerians are saying we need a third force. They're saying that we cannot continue as is, you know. What are your general thoughts as we're proceeding into the election season? What kind of lead? I mean, people are saying is the turn of the South. Do you agree with that? And if you do you think we have what it takes right now to present a candidate? Or do you think we need a whole new party to start over?
Well, we have what it takes now to have a democratic system and present candidates and all that. We can conduct elections and candidates will emerge victorious, some will fail. The problem with us is that we are not a political party. We are just a pressure group. Yeah. Now the Constitution, the 1999 Constitution as amended, has reserved the right of presenting candidates at elections to only political parties. You cannot sponsor a private candidate. Every candidate must be sponsored by a political party. So unless that clause is changed, Arewa Consultative Forum will not sponsor any candidate. What we have decided is that let the political parties choose their candidate from wherever. North, South. The North has a history of voting for candidates that are not from the North. You remember President Olusegun Obasanjo. He was massively voted by the Northerners. When even in his ward, he lost. You remember Abiola, who almost made it. He was defeated. He defeated Tofa in Kano. I was in Kano that time. Even in Tofa's ward, Abiola defeated him. So when people start saying that Northerners don't want Southerners to be president, I say, which Northerners? If a Northerner, a Southerner appeals to people and his credentials are accepted by the people, he could be voted. Yeah. Like I pointed out these two instances. But when the political parties choose their candidates as prescribed by the Constitution, we at Arewa Consultative Forum will then call them and engage them. We want to know how much of the North they know.
Right.
Do they understand our programs? It doesn't matter whether they are Northerners or Southerners. Some Northerners don't even know the North. They don't know. That's why we've had so many presidents, but we are still backward. Some Northerners don't know the North or how to solve the problems of the North. So we want to engage them and interview them.
Okay, go ahead, Mariam.
What are you going to do for the North when you become president? Whether you are a Southerner or a Middle Belter or a Northerner, whatever, we want to know. It will be at that stage that we intervene.
Okay, let me get a few. Go ahead,
Okay, so we know that the Electoral Act Amendment Bill has been,
debated.
Is being debated on. And yesterday we got the report that the leadership of the National Assembly has blocked the proposed electronic transmission of election results. So what they're saying is that when the results are collated, do not send it electronically. And there are many advantages to sending it electronically, of course. Less what they call election mismanagement of votes and things like that, and the counting of the votes. So it's done, everybody can see it from the point it was collated to, INEC, the INEC major center. But the National Assembly is blocking that particular amendment. What do you think? What do you think is the reason for doing that? How does that play into the election for 2023? Is this setting us back, or is there some sort of epiphany or something that they know that we're not aware of?
It is very unfortunate. And I worked with Senator Nnamdi, former Senate President Nnamdi, on the elections and the Constitutional Review Committee. I was one of the consultants engaged, and we did a very good job. Unfortunately, the government that set us up did not take our project very seriously. We submitted a report, but since we submitted the report, nothing serious has been done. That is one area. There are so many new suggestions that all this electronic voting are contained in that report. And we also suggested that these state electoral commissions set up by the states to conduct local government elections should be abolished all over the country. Because everywhere we went, and we went to the 6 geographical zones of this country to compile that report, everywhere we went, the complaint was against state electoral commissions. Because when they conduct elections, if it's a PDP state, every PDP candidate wins. Councillors, chairman is 100% PDP. When you now move to APC state, when the State Electoral Commission conducts elections in the state, in an APC state, all the APC candidates just take the victory. So we say, look, democracy should start from the local level, from the grassroots. But what is happening at the grassroots is not democratic. Governors simply handpick those to be chairmen, those to be councillors, and all that. It's not done that way. People will not imbibe the ethics of democracy if this continues. So we recommended that state electoral commission should be abolished, and INEC should be given the power to conduct elections into local governments. They have not acted on that. There are so many things we recommended that have not been acted on, like this electronic voting. It's unfortunate. And it has taken them too long. Right. We submitted this report over 3-4 years ago. Now it's still in the National Assembly. And we were assured before we started our work that they will attend to it speedily.
Okay, let me get a few more questions in for you. Go ahead, Thomas.
Okay, so I want to take you to grazing routes, farmer-header clash, and the challenges of the way of life of a group of people from the north. That this grazing, this migration is the way of life of these people, and the clamor from the south, everywhere from Middle Belt downwards, because there were major crises in Benue, major crises between them in Plateau. All the states are clamoring that let us have ranching, let's private businesses run as private businesses. I know someone whose acres of cassava plantation was eaten. Acres of cassava eaten by cows, cattle that came in through the farmland, and this was money invested heavily. So to prevent this, what would you suggest would be the way to migrate the way of life of this ethnic group into the modern times, when we will have less conflicts between the cultures of different people?
Let me give you an example. In 1987, I was involved, that was under the Babangida government. I was involved in running the state government in Gongola, in Yola. And Jibril Aminu, who was the Minister of Education there, came and launched nomadic education in Yola. And we at the state level told him that, look, before this your nomadic education works, settle these people. Settle them. That was the position of the Gongola state government. Settle them, because you can hardly find Nigerians who are willing to teach, who will be following these nomadic people from one dangerous forest to another. That was the position. And up till now, that is the position of most state governments. In the north, the Mieti Alatu, they held a meeting with us in Kaduna and said, look, we are looking for salvation from the government. They should help us. Our children don't go to school. They don't have the skills the rest of Nigerians have. That's why they are being exploited. People come and hire them and use them as kidnappers. They asked us, for all the millions we hear that is being paid to kidnappers, do we know that the highest a kidnapper gets is about 5,000 for risking his life? He said, look, our children are being exploited. They don't go to school. They have no skills. So please, we are tired of this life. If anybody tells you about way of life, he's not an honest person. The people who are living that way themselves are tired. There was a time we held a meeting in Gombe during the Jonathan era. It was a Northeast Economic Summit. And they made some calculations. The Northeast states made some calculations. They said, look, Lagos, before you slaughter a cow in Lagos, you pay tax. And they counted the number of cows that are slaughtered in Lagos per day. And the tax came into hundreds of millions every day.
Wow.
Much more than what all the northern states put together gain. So instead of moving this cattle through the bush and calling it a way of life, endangering your life and endangering the life of sedentary farmers too, why don't you establish modern abattoirs in the north? Settle these people there. Let them graze there. When they want to kill the cow for meat, they'll take it to modern abattoir. Make sure it is killed. Some say they don't kill it in the Islamic way and all that, but make sure it is killed in the Islamic way. It can be done. Then you can put the meat in the fridge and move it to Lagos, so that we northerners who produce the cow will also start benefiting from it, instead of always fighting. All the northern governors have agreed.
What's the problem?
That look, this free.
So why is it so difficult to implement, especially when they're in agreement? What's the delay? What's the issue exactly?
It's really a problem. It's not something you can just implement with a magic wand. It is a process that has been entrenched. But you know, some state governors have actually succeeded. You know, Kogi has boundaries with 10 states in the north. And you hardly hear of this kind of banditry going on in Kogi. It hardly happens. Some states have taken steps, but it's not something you just implement like a magic wand. No, it's not possible. This is something that has been entrenched for centuries. So it's difficult to.
All right, let me get your final question in, sir.
Quick one, sir. What is Arewa doing to encourage the youths to get into active politics?
What? Can I hear you again?
I said, what is Arewa doing to encourage young people to get into active politics? We are complaining that we want young people to be in that space for leadership. Are you doing anything to encourage them?
Well, we are happy that they are involved in politics. Yeah. In fact, there are two involved in politics. Yeah. But the type of politics we want them to be involved in is not the type of politics they are doing now. You see young people who didn't go to school, who didn't even finish primary school. Yes. They will start following one big man. They will give them some glamorous, pompous title, PA, SA, or whatever. That means nothing. Essentially, they are thugs. They carry guns. Now, when the elections are over, God save you, that big man, if you go there and you want to collect your gun back, they'll kill you. So they leave these guns in the hands of these dangerous young men. Those are not the type of young men who want to encourage to go into politics. In fact, our chairman, Chief Outward, always said every politician must have a second address. That means you must be well trained, you must be well qualified, so that when politics is over, because sometimes soldiers come and scatter everything. When politics is over, you have something to do.
To fall back on.
Sometimes you see somebody occupy a big political position and living comfortably during the political era. But once soldiers come, or once he loses that position, He lives like a pauper.
I have to wrap up, sir.
Prof.
Right. I have to wrap up with you, sir, but I need to ask you this final question before you go. So Nnamdi Kanu has become like a symbol of hope for many Southeasterners. Yes, he's seen as a his group has been prescribed a terrorist group, and he's seen as a secessionist agitator. Also, Sunday Igboho has also been a symbol of hope for some Yorubas, saying that they believe in the Yoruba nation. Because of what these people stand for, how best do you think the federal government should handle their cases at this time?
No, when they arrested Nnamdi Kanu, the ACF issued a statement and said that it should be handled according to the law. The federal government should not take extrajudicial measures in dealing with him. They should follow the law, that's all. It will be sad if people see him as a symbol of hope. After all he has said about Nigeria, calling this country a zoo, this is a very privileged country. This is a country that God has been very kind to. And he call all of us animals. That's what he means when he says the country is a zoo. Our only problem in Nigeria is leadership. But because we have bad leadership, you should not go about abusing people, calling people all kinds of names, and urging people to go and kill innocent people. No. What he did was absolutely wrong. And people who follow him and say he's their hero, he's their this, are making a terrible mistake. One day they will know who he really is.
All right, that's all we can take with you, sir. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. We've been speaking with Mr. Emmanuel Yawe, who is the representative of the Arewa Consultative Forum. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. All right, ladies, that's all we can take on the show. Have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now.